they might see you a woman who has standards, a woman who's upholding that, and that is rare in society. The media will portray women to be a certain kind of way, more promiscuous. And so when you're a woman who's setting a standard for yourself and saying, this is what I want, and you're unapologetic about it, it kind of ruffles some feathers. And hi everyone, welcome back to my channel where we talk all things becoming the woman you are truly meant to be. In today's video, we're going to be speaking about something that is so important in your walk in becoming the woman you're meant to be, becoming the woman that God wants you and needs you to be to walk out your full potential. In today's video, we're going to be talking about standards, how to actually set a standard, and not only that, but how to stick with it. I know there's a lot of talk online about standards and what society believes a standard is, or what society believes your standard should be, but standards is a you thing. Standards is what you set for yourself, for your life, based on your well-being and what you value the most. So I don't want this video to get misconstrued on what standards are and what society says standards are, because at the end of the day, standards is a you thing. Through my journey of becoming this woman and growing and evolving myself, I've gotten it mixed up so many times where I thought something was a standard, but really it wasn't. Or maybe I had a standard, but I let it be up for negotiation. Standards are not up for negotiation. And I wish when I was younger that I had the confidence to be able to set a standard and stick with it and not feel like I have to waver on that standard because people don't like it. So this is what we're going to dive into in this video, and I hope that it brings some value to you, especially on your walk of becoming the best version of yourself. Standards are going to become extremely important, especially if you are wanting better in your life, if you are a generational curse breaker and you're stepping out into something new that you've never seen your family do before. Standards are going to be so important for you to make sure that what is coming into your life is quality and not just anything that you can settle for. This is why it's so important as a woman of God, also to make sure that you're setting the standard so that you can confidently walk into the things that are meant for you. So when I was younger, I used to have standards that I didn't think that they were standards at the time, but when I look back at it, I saw that they were a standard. When I had these standards, like, it was something that I valued, something that felt right for me. These standards was like making sure that I'm getting great grades in school and that I'm going off to college for something that I feel passionate about, or that I'm preserving myself until marriage, until I find my husband. These were standards that were important to me, but I didn't realize that they were standards and non-negotiables, because when it came time to actually practice those standards, I negotiated on them. I fell prey to the pressure of having to decide on if I'm going to continue to uphold this standard. One thing that I have learned on my journey of becoming who I am today is that when you set a standard, there are going to be people who do not like your standard. There are going to be people who don't take your standard serious. There's even going to be people who try to talk you out of your standard or pressure you out of your standard. You're gonna know if you are 10 toes down for your standard, if you can still push past all of that resistance. So if you have a standard, if you have something that you value, right? And you know what? Before we talk about this, I want to get into the definition of a standard, because we want to just be clear on what a standard is. So in simple terms, a standard is an established level of quality, a rule or a baseline measurement used as a reference point to compare or evaluate other things. To put it simply, a standard is a point of reference. If you have something that you have in your life that you're holding on to that's a reference point that you don't want to settle on, I encourage you to keep that standard. And we're going to talk about also how to keep that standard. But first, how do you actually set a standard? Say you're coming on this video and you're just now learning about standards and you want to become the best version of yourself and you're not sure how to set a standard, let's talk about how to actually set a standard. So the way that I've been able to set standards in my life has been through prioritizing my well-being, number one. So what's best for me, right? And I am a Christian woman, so I like to let God guide me in my standards, right? The second thing I'm going to do is get to know my value system. That's what I've been able to do over the years of setting standards, is knowing my value system. What do you value? What's important to you that shape the way that you show up in the world today? That's going to get you to a point where you are congruent with yourself, with who you are as a person, and what you see fit for your life. The second one is so important, and we're going to dive more deeper into this as we talk about how to keep a standard. But the second part is make a commitment to the standard. Actually decide and commit that I'm going to be setting this standard and I'm not going to negotiate on it because this is a non-negotiable for me. And with that, there's a twofold to that. You have to be willing to wait. You have to be willing to do what you need to do to uphold that standard. But once you make a commitment to your standard, and this is the part that is extremely important, because again, like I said, it's going to be people in your life who are going to pressure you out of your standard. They might even feel like you are trying to be someone that they don't think that you should be. And that's just because a lot of people aren't willing to uphold standards, or maybe they've learned over time that standards were important, but they never were able to implement them. And so they might see you, a woman who has standards, a woman who's upholding that, and that is rare in society. I really hate to say it, but it is really rare in society that women are really upholding their standards, because we see it all the time in the media. The media will portray women to be a certain kind of way, more promiscuous. And so when you're a woman who's setting a standard for yourself and saying, this is what I want, and you're unapologetic about it, it kind of ruffles some feathers. And I really hate that, because why does it have to ruffle feathers for a woman to really prioritize herself and to know what's best for her life? It's not like it's the other person's life, but it really can bother people. So this is why it's important that once you make this commitment, that you're able to push past the resistance that may come with setting your standard. You might even come across people, depending on what your standard is, you might come across many things that don't fit your standard. And over time, you might think to yourself, should I settle on this standard? And that is where things can go left quickly. And the third part to this is pushing past all of the resistance, despite the fear, the worry, the anxiety, the doubt. Get anchored in your belief that this is what it is. Be confident in your decision that if you want to wait until marriage, until you find your husband, hold that standard and say, you know what? I don't care who comes to me who is not okay with my standard. I'm willing to wait for that person, because that person is going to come. And faith can do all things. When you truly believe, that's when things happen for you. So believe that your standard exists. Believe that you can uphold your standard, and believe in yourself. One of the biggest standards that I've developed in my life recently has been to be as healthy as possible. So that means this year I've been prioritizing my doctor's visits, my dental hygiene. I recently just had dental surgery. It just completely changed my life. It was the best decision, and I feel so much better and just on point, you know. Working out consistently. Also, something that I've been doing to stay healthy is I've been drinking like a morning smoothie every single day for hydration, for my iron, because I've had low levels of iron. So I've been implementing iron into my smoothies. Vitamin C, like strawberries and you know, oranges and things like that. That is how I'm upholding the standard, by making sure that I'm eating healthy and I'm showing up for myself, what works with my body, so that I feel the very best that I can feel. But it's up to me to uphold that standard internally with myself. You might have internal standards and you might have external standards. You might have a standard for yourself and you might have a standard for other people. So get to know what that standard is, and this is how you actually set it. Oh shoot. All right, y'all, we are back. I had a candle on my TV stand that I guess got so hot that it broke the jar, and all the wax went everywhere on the TV stand and on the floor. So I just had to go and clean that up. It was like a huge fire starting on the TV stand. That was just so crazy. I was so scared, but everything is cool now. I'm just waiting for those pieces to kind of cool down. But we were getting into how to actually keep a standard. That's what we were getting into. So let's go ahead and continue this video. That was crazy, but we're gonna finish this video. So the first thing, being able to make a commitment that this is what your standard is the first step to actually keeping it. The second half of that is to be willing to wait, be willing to uphold the standard, whether it's internally or externally. The second part is important as well, because then we get into the points where life can feel vulnerable. So when you find yourself in a space of desperation or lack, or maybe that you don't believe in yourself, then you want to look out for those feelings, especially after you've set the standard. When you spiral into those feelings, it can make you want to go backwards on your standard or renegotiate it. And when I say renegotiate your standard, I mean the standard for yourself you know is right for you, yet you don't believe that you can uphold it, or yet you've fallen into a space that you're vulnerable and you feel like you're lacking. That'll make you want to go back on your standard, and that's what we don't want to happen. The third portion to keeping your standard is important, because who you have around you is going to affect your life. So be around people who understand your standard and can hold you accountable. They might not have the same standard, but they might have standards for themselves, and they can understand why you would uphold a specific standard for yourself. People who are willing to encourage you in your standard and not pull you down or make you doubt or make you fear. If you're around people who are going to question your standard, if you're closely around them, I mean constantly around them, it's only a matter of time before it begins to really affect you, affect your self-confidence, affect your self-belief. And so you want to be around people who give you encouragement, give you confidence, and that allows you to truly be yourself, and that also holds you accountable to your standards. People who have their own standards, who have their own life. That is the kind of circle you want to keep around you, because it's going to help you grow as a woman, as a person yourself. Like even now, I will say my circle is very, because I have been around people where I felt like I couldn't fully be myself, simply because of who I was and what I believed in. And so that left me feeling disappointed. That left me with heartbreak, because we just didn't mesh well. And so you want to be around people that can understand your value. Because of my circle being so small now, I can understand truly what it is that I completely and utterly value, and how I want to interact with people and the type of people I want to interact with. Community is so important, but the right community, the right people. You don't even need to be around a whole group of people. If you just have one or two friends that are on the same path as you in regards to growing and becoming the best version of yourself, it's going to help you tremendously, because you guys are walking one path towards each other, and you guys understand each other and the decisions that you all have to make. Doesn't mean that there's not going to be misunderstandings, but at least you guys are walking that same path. So I hope that this video helped you ladies in your walk of becoming the best version of yourself, and help you understand how to set a standard, how to keep a standard, and why standards in your life is important. My hope for you is to walk away from this video having the confidence that you know it's okay to set your standard and to keep it, and to not negotiate with it. I was a woman who negotiated my standards. I was a woman who didn't have the confidence to say this is what it is and stick to it. But now God is shaping me and I am growing and evolving so much. I hope that this video helped you. If it did, share it with someone who also needs to hear it today. Like this video, subscribe if you want to stay, and I will see you ladies in my next video. Bye.